Money is not a master but a servant, a divine idea awaiting your command. It is not a lifeless coin nor a mere number in a ledger, but a living symbol of substance, ever responsive to the thought you hold and the word you speak. Too long has humanity feared money, chased it, doubted it, or spoken against it, yet money, like all of life, moves in obedience to the law of mind. What you decree with certainty, it must perform. The world teaches that money is hard to come by, that it requires toil, strain, and endless sacrifice. But the truth whispers another story. Money is but energy in form, waiting for your recognition of its source. It is born of infinite supply, and infinite supply knows no lack. When you align with the law of abundance, you step into a river that flows ceaselessly, and every drop of it seeks to bless you. You are not a beggar at the gates of chance. You are heir to the kingdom of plenty. To command your money to multiply, you must first command your own words and thoughts. The spoken word carries life, and what you declare becomes flesh. If you say, "I never have enough," the law of your word makes it so. If you say, "Money flows to me freely, easily, endlessly," the same law obeys, and substance hastens to clothe itself in visible form. The universe is a mirror, reflecting not what you wish but what you know. Therefore, know your good, speak your good, and your good must appear. Imagine money as a faithful servant standing silently at your side. It waits, it listens. It watches for your decree. If you treat it with fear, suspicion, or contempt, it recoils. If you bless it, honor it, and command it with authority, it leaps to fulfill its purpose. Money is not wicked nor holy, it is obedient. And obedience demands a master who knows how to speak. Plant your words as seeds in the rich soil of mind. Say, "Every dollar I touch returns to me multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." Let no careless word of lack uproot that seed. Guard your speech as the farmer guards his field, for weeds of doubt grow quicker than corn. And remember, the harvest comes not by watching the sky in worry, but by resting in faith that the soil knows its work. Money multiplies when it moves, for stagnation is death. Release it joyfully, and it circles back with friends. Hoard it in fear, and it shrinks to dust. Give with a willing heart, and you open the floodgates for return. Command with love, not grasping, with certainty, not pleading. For money is spirit in action, and spirit knows no withholding. To command your money is to command life itself. It is to stand in the authority of truth and say, "I am one with infinite supply. My wealth is limitless, my riches overflow. That which I send forth returns multiplied." Thus you do not chase money, you summon it. You do not labor for it, you call it. And as surely as the echo answers the voice, it must come. Money is a servant, not a master. When we begin to see money in its rightful place, as a tool, a symbol, and an obedient messenger of divine supply, we free ourselves from the chains of fear and worship that so often surround it. Too many souls have bowed down before money, as if it were a tyrant, giving it power over their emotions, their decisions, their peace of mind. Others have despised it, declaring it evil, unworthy, or corrupt, and in doing so, they have unconsciously cast away their own good. The truth lies beyond these extremes. Money has no power of its own. It is like a mirror reflecting the consciousness of the one who wields it. When treated as a master, it enslaves. When commanded as a servant, it obeys. To understand this law is to understand freedom. Imagine a household where the servant has taken the master's chair, dictating the rules and commanding the owner. Such a home would fall into disorder and confusion, for roles would be reversed. This is what occurs when people allow money to dictate the quality of their lives. They say, "I cannot do this because I have not enough," or, "If only I had money, then I would be free." In such statements, they give money authority that belongs only to spirit. Spirit is the true source of all supply, the wellspring that never runs dry. Money is merely one of its many channels, an expression of abundance clothed in visible form. The master is always spirit, and you, as a channel of spirit, hold the authority to direct money into right action. The servant never argues, it listens and responds. If you instruct money with thoughts of lack, it obeys and multiplies lack. If you instruct it with confidence, blessing, and authority, it hastens to serve your good. To treat money as a servant is not to belittle it, but to honor its role. The servant is faithful, loyal, and reliable when the master is strong, clear, and loving in command. So too, money serves the one who stands firm in the truth of abundance. Consider the way fear binds humanity to money as master. People worry endlessly. What if it runs out? What if I cannot earn enough? What if I lose it? This fear turns money into a taskmaster, driving men and women into drudgery, robbing them of joy, health, and freedom. They rise early, labor long, and sleep uneasily, not because work itself is unworthy, but because they believe their security rests upon money. Yet security never rests upon the servant. The servant may change form, move through different hands, or vanish from sight for a season. But the true master, spirit, infinite supply, remains unshaken, eternal, and abundant. When one anchors in this truth, fear dissolves, and money takes its rightful place as a channel of service. Money does not create wealth. Consciousness creates wealth. A soul rich in awareness of divine supply can lose every coin and still draw riches again, for the source flows within, not without. Meanwhile, a soul impoverished in thought may grasp great sums yet find them slipping away, for their fear and unworthiness poison the servant's service. Money will mirror the inner law. If the inner law declares mastery, abundance flows with ease. If the inner law declares servitude to money, then bondage and worry must follow. To see money as servant is also to release guilt and resistance around it. Many have been taught that money is suspect, that it corrupts, that holiness and wealth cannot walk together. Yet does the sun not shine on the rich and the poor alike? Does not the earth yield fruit in abundance, without judgment or restraint? Money, like sunlight and water, is a form of energy. It carries no sin, no stain, unless the one who wields it uses it to bind rather than bless. When commanded rightly, money becomes a servant of love, freedom, generosity, and creation. It builds homes, feeds the hungry, clothes the naked, and brings beauty into form. When despised or feared, it withers in its purpose. The master of money must be one who speaks with authority. Authority is not arrogance, it is the calm certainty of truth. To say, money is my servant, and it obeys my command, is to recognize divine law. Just as the seed obeys the farmer, just as the river obeys gravity, so money obeys the consciousness that governs it. If you declare, I cannot afford it, you place the servant in chains and strip yourself of authority. If instead you declare, infinite supply meets this need through perfect channels, and money flows to fulfill its purpose, then the servant rushes to perform. Imagine money as a loyal worker waiting at your gate, hands folded, ready for orders. If you ignore it, it idles. If you scorn it, it departs. If you fear it, it resists. But if you instruct it with clarity, it labors tirelessly, bringing back the fruit of your decree. The master must not hesitate, for hesitation confuses the servant. Speak clearly, speak firmly, and speak with faith. Faith is the command that seals the order. Doubt is the revocation that cancels it. Money, like any servant, thrives in circulation. A servant cannot serve if locked in a room, and money cannot serve if hoarded in fear. To command money is to direct its movement with wisdom. Go forth to bless, to create, to multiply, and return to me increased. When sent with love, it carries love. When sent with fear, it carries loss. The master understands that every act of giving is not depletion but instruction, a command that money return with greater measure. In truth, mastery over money is mastery over self. The one who fears, envies, or worships money reveals a heart unanchored in supply. The one who stands in quiet authority, blessing money as servant and directing it to holy use, reveals a heart aligned with the source of all. When the inner throne is restored, when spirit is master, and the individual takes their rightful seat of authority, then money finds its place as faithful servant. Words spoken about money shape its flow. Every word carries vibration, and vibration summons form. To speak of lack is to invite lack. To speak of abundance is to draw abundance nearer. The universe does not question your meaning. It only answers your tone, your decree, your affirmation. When you say, I am always broke. Or, I never seem to get ahead. Those words travel like seeds into the soil of mind, and the soil, being ever fertile, returns them as harvest. The tongue, though small, turns the course of life as surely as a rudder turns a ship. You may not notice the immediate shift, but word by word, decree by decree, the invisible becomes visible, and the invisible is shaped by what is spoken. Money is particularly sensitive to speech because it is a symbol of flow. Flow responds to the channels created by thought and language. When you declare that money is hard to earn, the flow narrows, for you have created a narrow channel. When you speak that money arrives easily, joyfully, and continuously, the flow widens, for you have created a broad and generous channel. The law does not resist, it obeys. If the command is fearful, it obeys fear. If the command is confident, it obeys confidence. This is why two individuals, standing side by side in the same world, with the same opportunities, may experience entirely different outcomes. One blesses money, speaks well of it, and it hastens to serve. The other curses money, declares it scarce, and it flees from their hand. Consider how often careless words are spoken without thought. A sigh escapes, I can't afford it, or a complaint arises, money slips through my fingers. Each statement is a decree, and the servant of supply rushes to fulfill it. The soil of the subconscious accepts every word as law. It does not filter whether the decree is for good or ill. It simply says, so be it. A careless joke, a habitual phrase, a repeated lament. All are commands sent forth to shape reality. Therefore the wise one watches the words that leave their lips, for words are not empty. Words are seeds. Words are commands. Words are forces that move unseen substance into visible shape. To understand this principle is to wield a powerful key. You may turn at once from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness by changing your speech. Declare, I always have more than enough. Money flows to me richly and in perfect ways. Every dollar I spend returns to me multiplied. These words, when spoken with conviction, plant new seeds, new channels, new directions for the flow of money. They may seem simple, even not a V, yet the soil of the subconscious knows no argument. It accepts the word spoken often, spoken with feeling, spoken with certainty. Think of words as garments dressing the invisible. Spirit is formless, yet it needs shape to manifest in the visible world. Your words give it clothing. When you say, I prosper, you clothe spirit in prosperity. When you say, I lack, you clothe spirit in absence. The invisible substance is obedient, waiting only for the garment of your decree. It does not question whether you truly desire what you speak. It only moves into the form that words provide. That is why idle words are never idle in effect. They linger, they gather, they take root, and they return as experience. There is great danger in repeated negative confessions. The mind loves rhythm, repetition, familiarity. If you repeat long enough, I never have enough, the subconscious adopts it as law, and soon reality bends to it. But there is equally great power in repeated positive declarations. The mind that hears often, money blesses me and I bless money, it flows to me freely and joyfully, begins to accept it as natural truth. Then opportunities appear, ideas arise, and money moves in alignment with the decree. The outer world rearranges itself to match the word planted within. Words not only shape your own flow of money, they also shape how money responds to others around you. When you speak well of another's prosperity, you align yourself with the same current. To envy or curse another's wealth is to shut the channel for your own. Words of blessing keep the flow open. Words of jealousy shut it tight. When you say, their wealth proves mine is possible, you join the stream. When you say, why should they have and not I? You step outside the stream. Blessing multiplies, cursing divides. The spoken word is never neutral. It is always creating or diminishing, opening or closing. To direct money with words requires not only affirmation but consistency. It is not enough to speak abundance in the morning and cancel it with doubt in the afternoon. Each contradiction uproots the seed. The soil is faithful, but the gardener must also be faithful. Hold your speech steady, align it with truth, let no shadow word undo the light. Speak abundance not only when it is easy, but when appearances suggest the opposite. That is when the decree has greatest power. To say, I am rich, while pockets seem empty, is to command substance in the face of illusion, and illusion must bow to truth. Guard also against speaking in jest against money. The subconscious does not laugh, it records. A jest about being poor is still a decree. A casual remark about being broke is still a command. Let your humor be rich, let your laughter affirm joy, but do not lace it with decrees of lack. Every word carries weight, whether whispered, shouted, or joked. The universe is a perfect listener, and it always replies with form. Speech not only shapes money but shapes your relationship to money. If you call it difficult, it becomes difficult. If you call it easy, it becomes easy. If you call it your faithful servant, it obeys. If you call it your elusive master, it rules you. The words you choose are the relationship you build. Speak as one who commands, not as one who begs. Speak as one who blesses, not as one who condemns. Speak as one who knows, not as one who doubts. Then money hears and flows accordingly. Bless and command money with authority. Money responds to the energy of blessing, because blessing is recognition of its rightful place in divine order. When you bless money, you lift it from the realm of fear and mistrust into the realm of gratitude and joy. Many people speak against money without realizing they are cursing their own supply. They say, it goes too quickly, or it is never enough, or it brings trouble. Such words are curses, and money, being obedient, responds accordingly. But when you bless money, when you say, you are a faithful servant, you multiply in my hands, you flow to me with ease. You set it free to fulfill its divine assignment. Money is not lifeless matter, it is energy clothed in form, and energy takes its cue from thought and word. To bless is to acknowledge the good in what is before you. Even the smallest coin, when blessed, holds the vibration of increase. The widow's mite, offered in faith, multiplied beyond measure. The loaf and fish, blessed and broken, became food for thousands. Blessing multiplies, because it recognizes the presence of infinite supply in visible form. Each time you hold money in your hand, you have the choice to see lack or to see abundance. If you complain, you close the channel. If you bless, you widen it. The blessing acts as a magnet, drawing more of the same vibration into your life. Commanding money with authority is the next step beyond blessing. Blessing acknowledges the good. Commanding directs it. Authority is not force, not strain, not grasping. It is the calm certainty of law. Just as the farmer commands the seed by planting it in soil, just as the captain commands the ship by setting its course, so you command money by decreeing its purpose and direction. Say to your money, go forth and return multiplied. Serve love, serve joy, serve freedom. In doing so, you release it into circulation with a definite order, and it must fulfill the decree. Money loves direction. Without command, it wanders or stagnates. With command, it becomes purposeful and fruitful. Authority over money begins within the consciousness of the one who speaks. The timid soul who whispers commands with doubt does not see results, for the authority is not yet claimed. True authority comes from alignment with the source of supply. The individual who knows that infinite spirit is the true owner of all wealth, and that they are heir to that wealth, speaks with the voice of law. Their words carry weight because they are spoken in truth. They do not plead, they decree. They do not beg, they affirm. This authority is quiet, firm, and unshakable, and money hastens to obey. Many shrink from the idea of commanding money because they believe it arrogant or materialistic. Yet to command rightly is to bring money into harmony with divine law. The master commands the servant not out of cruelty, but out of order. A servant left without instruction is wasted potential. Money left without command is wasted energy. By commanding money, you give it holy employment. You direct it toward increase, toward circulation, toward blessing. When you say, every dollar I spend returns to me multiplied, you are not grasping but guiding. You are not forcing but aligning. The words of command must be consistent and intentional. One moment of blessing cannot undo years of careless curses unless it is held firm with repetition and faith. Speak to your money daily. Speak to it when it comes, speak to it when it goes, speak to it even when it seems absent. Hold a coin, a note, a check, and say, "You are blessed. You are multiplied. You are a servant of good." Each word charges the substance with vibration, and vibration attracts its like. Over time, the pattern shifts and money begins to behave differently in your life. It lingers longer, grows larger, returns faster, because you have taught it its role. Authority requires watchfulness over inner speech as well as outer speech. It is not enough to command aloud if your thoughts contradict silently. If you speak blessing with your lips but harbor fear in your heart, the vibration is mixed and the result is confusion. Purity of command comes from inner agreement. Train your thoughts as you train your words. When the thought of lack arises, answer it with command. Infinite supply cannot fail. Money is my servant and returns to me multiplied. The repetition of inner command strengthens outer authority until both align in perfect faith. Blessing and commanding money also transforms your relationship with giving and receiving. Without blessing, giving feels like loss, and receiving feels like struggle. With blessing, giving is a command for multiplication, and receiving is the fulfillment of law. Each transaction becomes sacred, each exchange becomes circulation. Money is no longer a cause of anxiety but a channel of joy. You bless it as it leaves, knowing it must return, and you bless it as it arrives, knowing it comes to serve. This cycle builds trust, and trust strengthens authority. There is power in ritualizing your blessings and commands. Some hold their wallet or purse and speak words of increase. Others write affirmations and place them with their money. Still others speak aloud over checks, bills, or coins. The form does not matter. The intention does. Each act of blessing imprints the subconscious, and the subconscious imprints reality. What begins as deliberate practice becomes effortless habit, and soon every interaction with money is laced with blessing and authority. Those who master blessing and command discover that money begins to seek them. Opportunities arise unbidden, gifts arrive unexpectedly. Channels open in ways they could not have planned. This is not chance, it is the obedient response of substance to the voice of authority. The world may call it luck, but it is law. The one who blesses calls forth increase, the one who commands directs its flow. Together, blessing and command turn money into a faithful servant, tireless, obedient, and multiplying without end. Circulation multiplies wealth. Stagnation diminishes it. Money, like water, was made to move. The river that flows is clear, fresh, and abundant, while the pond that sits in stillness without outlet grows stagnant and fall. So it is with money. When held too tightly in fear, money loses its power to serve, to expand, to bless. But when released with wisdom and faith, it moves in ever-widening circles, returning again and again, each time increased. Circulation is the secret law of multiplication, and those who understand it live in a constant rhythm of giving and receiving. The mind trained in lack resists circulation. It says, "I must hold on to what I have, or I will lose it." Yet that very act of hoarding interrupts the natural law of flow. The tighter the grip, the less can enter the hand. Fear of loss becomes the magnet for loss, and what was clutched begins to dwindle. But the consciousness of abundance says, "I release this freely," and it returns multiplied. Such a declaration honors circulation, and circulation fulfills its promise. Each dollar given in faith goes out as seed, planted in the soil of the universe, destined to sprout and multiply. Money thrives in motion because motion reflects life. The universe itself is circulation, day flowing into night, tides moving in and out, seasons turning endlessly. Breath itself is a rhythm of circulation, inhale, exhale, receive, release. To breathe without exhaling is impossible. To hoard the breath is to suffocate. So too with money. To receive without giving is stagnation, and stagnation diminishes life. The one who learns to give freely, to let money move joyfully, lives in harmony with the greater law, and that law always ensures return. Circulation does not mean careless spending or wasteful indulgence. It means conscious release, guided by blessing and command. To circulate money is to send it forth with intention. This money goes to bless, to increase, to return multiplied. Each bill paid, each gift given, each purchase made is an act of sowing. When the seed is sown with joy, the harvest is inevitable. To give grudgingly is to plant in barren soil, but to give with gladness is to plant in fertile ground. The consciousness with which money leaves determines the condition in which it returns. Many fear that to give is to lessen their supply. Yet giving is never depletion, it is investment in circulation. The farmer does not lament the loss of seed when he scatters it upon the field. He knows it must return manyfold. So it is with money. Every dollar released in faith is a seed sown, and the soil of infinite supply never fails to bring harvest. The only difference lies in the attitude of the sower. Those who give sparingly reap sparingly, those who give generously reap generously. Not because of favoritism, but because circulation answers the measure of trust. Circulation is also the law of balance. Just as the body cannot thrive when blood pools in one place, so society cannot thrive when wealth is hoarded without movement. Money was made to pass from hand to hand, each time serving, each time blessing, each time creating new channels of good. When one hoards out of fear, the flow chokes and stagnation sets in. But when one trusts the law of circulation, the flow remains lively, vigorous, and expanding. To live in circulation is to live in the rhythm of life itself, where increase is natural and lack is impossible. The joy of circulation is that it multiplies not only the money itself, but also the good it carries. A dollar spent in bitterness carries bitterness. A dollar spent in joy carries joy. That joy returns in multiplied form, not only in money, but in experiences, in opportunities, in unexpected gifts. Circulation amplifies the vibration with which it is set in motion. Thus, to circulate with gratitude and gladness is to create a spiral of ever-increasing blessings. The consciousness of circulation also dissolves fear of loss. When you know that money returns multiplied, you no longer cling to each coin. You can release it easily, joyfully, confidently, because you trust the law. This freedom is wealth itself. For true wealth is not the amount in hand, but the certainty that more will always come. When you live in circulation, money is like the tide, always moving, always returning, always abundant. The fear of lack disappears, and with it disappears the need to hoard. To practice circulation, begin with what you have. Bless it, release it, let it move. Pay bills with gratitude, saying, "This money blesses and multiplies." Give gifts with joy, saying, "This money sows a harvest." Invest in yourself or others with confidence, saying, "This money grows as it circulates." Watch as the flow quickens, as opportunities appear, as money returns from unexpected directions. The universe loves movement, and money is eager to move when blessed and commanded rightly. Circulation also calls for receptivity. Just as the exhale requires an inhale, so giving requires receiving. Some resist receiving, believing it selfish, yet this too blocks the flow. To refuse a gift, to shrink from increase, is to close the channel. Circulation is a circle. What goes out must return, and what returns must be received. To give freely and receive freely is to honor the full law. To give without receiving is to deny the return. To receive without giving is to deny the flow. Only in balance is circulation complete. When circulation is understood, money ceases to be a burden and becomes a joy. Each act of giving is an affirmation of abundance. Each act of receiving is an affirmation of grace. The movement itself becomes proof of infinite supply. The stagnant pond of fear transforms into a flowing river of confidence. Money becomes light, quick, abundant, ever-moving, never-ending. Circulation multiplies wealth because it aligns with the eternal law of expansion, and expansion is the nature of spirit. Infinite supply answers faith, not fear. At the heart of all wealth lies the recognition that there is no limit in spirit. The storehouse of the universe is vast, overflowing, inexhaustible. Every tree bears countless seeds, every ocean contains countless drops, every star radiates endless light. Yet many live as though there were not enough, clinging to scraps, fearing tomorrow, hoarding in anxiety. This fear is a veil that blinds them to the truth. For infinite supply is always present, always available, but it can only flow through the open channel of faith. Fear closes the gate, faith opens it wide. Fear says, "What if it runs out?" Faith says, "It can never run out." Fear says, "I must struggle for my portion." Faith says, "My portion is assured, for I am one with the source." A faith is the magnet that draws from the invisible into the visible. When you hold faith, you hold the key that unlocks the treasure house. Faith is not wishful thinking or fragile hope, but firm knowing that the invisible is more real than appearances. The eye may see lack, the hand may feel emptiness, but faith looks deeper and sees abundance waiting to take form. Fear, on the other hand, magnifies appearances. It feeds on lack, it multiplies shadows, it convinces the mind that absence is real and presence is uncertain. The one who allows fear to govern closes their own channel. Infinite supply never ceases, but fear bars the door to its expression. Consider how often fear disguises itself as caution or wisdom. I must not spend, for what if more does not come? I must not invest, for what if it is lost? I must not give, for what if I am left without? Yet these words are not wisdom but bondage. They are chains forged by fear, and chains cannot attract freedom. Faith, in contrast, steps forward in confidence, knowing that each act of circulation calls forth more. Faith sows seed freely, knowing the harvest is sure. Faith gives generously, knowing return is multiplied. Faith acts as though the supply were already visible, and by that action, it becomes visible. Infinite supply is like a river pressing against the banks of human belief. If the banks are narrow, the river seems small. If the banks are wide, the river rushes in torrents. Faith widens the banks, fear constricts them. The river itself is never diminished, but your experience of it depends upon the space you allow. To live in faith is to widen, to expand, to expect. To live in fear is to contract, to shrink, to block. The difference is not in the source but in the vessel. Faith is exercised most clearly in the words you speak and the thoughts you hold. When you say, "I always have enough," you stand in faith. When you say, "I cannot afford it," you stand in fear. Infinite supply hears both, not as judgment but as command. It obeys your belief. If your belief is in lack, lack is provided. If your belief is in abundance, abundance is provided. The law is impartial, responding only to the vibration set in motion. Fear vibrates constriction, faith vibrates expansion. The choice lies ever in the one who speaks. Infinite supply does not answer the desperate cry of fear, because fear declares separation. Fear says, "I am alone, I am unsupported, I must struggle." Faith declares unity. "I am one with the source, I am heir to abundance. I rest in supply." The cry of fear is like a clenched fist that cannot receive. The song of faith is like an open hand, ready to be filled. The universe cannot place gold in a fist, but it can fill a hand stretched forth in trust. Those who live by fear often measure supply by what they see. They say, "There is little in my account, so there must be little for me." But what is seen is only the outpicturing of past thought. To look at lack and conclude more lack is to cement the cycle. Faith looks beyond appearances. Faith says, "Though my account seems small, infinite supply is vast, and it is already pouring into my life." By holding this truth, by speaking it, by acting from it, the outer must eventually reflect it. The inner command always shapes the outer form. Fear is noisy, urgent, filled with questions. Faith is quiet, steady, filled with certainty. Fear rushes, grasps, panics. Faith rests, trusts, knows. In the silence of faith, the answer appears. In the clamor of fear, the answer is missed. Infinite supply is always whispering, always guiding, but only faith can hear. Fear is too loud to notice. When one begins to live in faith, money ceases to be a burden and becomes a joy. Each dollar that arrives is greeted not with worry of its leaving, but with gratitude for its coming. Each dollar released is not mourned as loss but blessed as seed. Faith transforms the very atmosphere around money. It removes the heaviness of struggle and replaces it with the lightness of flow. Infinite supply answers to this lightness, for it is the natural state of abundance. Fear, being heavy and dense, blocks the flow, while faith, being open and expansive, invites it. Infinite supply is not earned by toil, nor withheld by mistake, nor delayed by circumstance. It is present always, awaiting recognition. Faith is the recognition. Faith says, "It is here now, though unseen, it is mine now, though not yet in hand. It is sure now, though the form has not arrived." And because infinite supply is responsive, the unseen becomes seen, the formless takes form, the invisible becomes visible. Fear cannot accomplish this, for fear is denial of supply. Faith alone opens the way. To cultivate faith, one must practice it daily. Each thought of lack must be answered with truth. Each fear-filled word must be replaced with a word of abundance. Each anxious act must be turned into a faithful one. Faith grows stronger with use, just as muscle grows stronger with exercise. Begin where you are, with what you have, and declare it enough. Bless it, command it, trust it to multiply. Each time you choose faith over fear, you widen the channel, and more of infinite supply flows through. Over time, faith becomes second nature, and fear loses its grip.